Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zen and Fanfics. Today we are featuring What If Deku Awakens Diamond Quirk. The story is written by travisdrakon on fanfiction.net. Before we start, please like and subscribe for more content. Now, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The Broken and the Brilliant. The wind howled over Mizurufu, rattling the windows of a modest apartment complex. Inside, a young boy with green hair sat hunched over a cluttered desk, scribbling fervently into a worn notebook. His fingers were smudged with graphite, his eyes wide with wonder as he filled another page labeled Hero Analysis for the Future Number 13. Kimui Wood's lashing capture style. His branching technique works well against mobile villains, Izuku muttered. But it wouldn't be effective against someone with wide-range area attacks. Maybe a crystal dome would be better for containment. Wait, that's assuming a hard material structure. A knock at the door interrupted his monologue. Dinner, sweetie, his mother's gentle voice called. Coming, Mom. Izuku closed the notebook with a sigh, glancing at the stack beside him. 13 volumes of dreams and ideas. Plans for a future he wasn't even sure he'd have. He was quirkless. In a world where 80% of people had powers, being quirkless was almost a curse. No offense, no defense. Nothing but dreams. Still, he clung to them. The next day, Aldera Middle School, Midoriya. You think you can be a hero with no quirk? Katsuki Bakugo's voice cut through the classroom like a grenade going off. The teacher had just handed out career forms, and Izuku, stupidly, had written you, high school in bold letters. I just thought you. It looks at potential. Don't make me laugh. Bakugo snarled, stomping over. You think you. It wants some pebble without power. What are you going to do? Cry at villains until they feel sorry for you. The class chuckled cruelly. Izuku shrank in his seat, holding back tears. But somewhere, deep in his chest, something pulsed. A quiet resistance. A pressure. Not pain. Not fear. Something solid. Later that day, underpass beneath the train tracks, Izuku walked home alone, muttering to himself and kicking at rocks. He had wandered beneath a dark underpass, not realizing the danger until it was too late. A manhole cover burst open behind him with a splash of sewage. What the? A formless, green sludge exploded upward, wrapping around Izuku's limbs and torso. The creature grinned through bubbling goo. Perfect. A skin suit for escape. Izuku screamed, struggling, choking as the slime forced itself into his nose and mouth. He reached for something, anything, to grab onto, but his fingers touched only cold air and concrete. His heart pounded, his vision darkened, and then, crack, the world exploded with light. Brilliant, blinding green light. Shards of glimmering crystal erupted from his skin, slicing through the slime like razors. Long, jagged spikes of translucent emerald grew outward from his arms and shoulders. A shockwave of diamond shards blasted the sludge off his body, scattering it in wet chunks. Izuku collapsed to his knees, panting. His hands trembled, but they weren't hands anymore. They were encased in glittering crystal. His skin shimmered like cut glass, his arms morphing into angular weapons. What is this? A moment later, a powerful gust of wind blasted the alley. A shadow loomed overhead. Fear not, for I am here. All Might landed with a dramatic boom. But what he saw made him pause. The boy wasn't just alive, he was glowing, gleaming with sharp, alien brilliance. His eyes shimmered with green light, his body laced in crystalline armor. Young man, All Might said cautiously, what kind of quirk do you have? Izuku blinked, still dazed, still surrounded by broken diamond-like spikes that had erupted from his own body. I don't know. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 2 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 2. A shard of destiny. Izuku stared at his reflection in a broken shard of crystal beside him. His hands, no, his arms, were still coated in gleaming emerald stone. It was faceted like a gemstone, angular and smooth, but flexible enough to move with his muscles. As the adrenaline faded, so did the glow, and the diamond plates began receding, fracturing into glittering dust before vanishing completely. He dropped the shard and looked up at the towering man before him. All Might, he whispered in awe. The #1 hero knelt beside him. You're not injured, are you? I think I'm fine. I feel fine. But that sludge thing, and then he glanced around. The alley was a mess. Chunks of goo, crystalline shrapnel, and a few jagged diamond pillars piercing the concrete. All Might scratched the back of his head. Well, that certainly simplified things. Guess I don't have to catch him now. Izuku blinked. Wait, that was a villain. Indeed, a rather slippery one. I was chasing him through the sewer system before he escaped topside. But more importantly, All Might narrowed his eyes. You manifested a quirk mid-fight, didn't you? Izuku nodded slowly. I've always been told I was quirkless. Doctors said I didn't have the extra joint in my pinky, and I never showed signs of power growing up. But then when that thing tried to take over my body, something just snapped. And this came out. He held up a hand. Tiny, glittering chips of crystal still dusted his fingers. All Might glanced down, examining the shards. These crystals aren't organic. They're harder than steel. Reflective, flexible. This isn't a standard mutation-type quirk. Have you ever heard of anyone with similar abilities? No, Izuku said quietly. Not even close. The silence lingered. For the first time in his life, Izuku didn't feel like a background character in someone else's story. All Might reached into his pocket, pulled out a small notebook, and quickly jotted something down. I'll take care of the villain and file the paperwork. But you, young man, I think you're about to have a very different future than the one you expected. That night, Midoriya residence, Izuku. You what? Inko Midoriya almost dropped her cup when she saw her son's hand shimmer into a crystalline gauntlet at the dinner table. He held it up nervously, showing the jagged emerald fingers. I swear I'm okay, Mom. I don't feel sick or tired, just sharp. Oh, honey, you're glowing. We need to call a doctor, maybe recovery girl. Wait, what if it's alien? What if it's unstable? Izuku laughed for the first time that day. It's okay. I think this is what I've been waiting for. Maybe it just took a crisis to wake it up. Inko looked at him with teary eyes. You always wanted to be a hero. He nodded, and now I can be. The next day, Quirk registration office Quirk type. Mutation/crystallokinesis designation. Diamond generation manipulation user. Izuku Midoriya notes. User appears to generate and manipulate hyper-durable crystalline structures, diamond class, capable of reshaping limbs, creating projectiles, and altering physical form. Abilities first manifested during traumatic event at age 14. The examiner looked skeptical. You sure this isn't some sort of body augmentation or stored energy quirk? Izuku shrugged. Honestly, I don't know, but I can do this. He formed a crystalline blade from his forearm. Clean, smooth, perfectly translucent. The clerk blinked. Okay, never mind. Later that week, Aldera Middle School, Izuku walked into class with his head held higher than usual. Rumors had already started circulating. Did you hear Midoriya awakened his quirk? Something about crystal arms. No way. He's been quirkless for years. It's probably fake. But Bakugo wasn't laughing. The blonde stood stiffly by the windows, arms crossed. His glare was sharp, unreadable. Izuku walked past him without a word. After school, abandoned lot Izuku stood in the center of a cleared space with broken pavement and shattered walls. It was quiet. He closed his eyes and focused. He reached inward, toward the pressure he'd felt during the attack. A pulse. A heartbeat. Something deep inside. He held out his hand, and it responded. Shring. A long, curved blade erupted from his palm. Emerald. Gleaming. Perfectly balanced. Then another grew from his other arm. A crystalline shield. He smiled. I may not have one for all. He slammed the shield into a concrete pillar. It cracked. But I can still be a hero. To be continued. Of course. Here's Chapter 3 of Crystalline Resolve. A hero made of diamond. Chapter 3. Forged for greatness, the old industrial lot was quiet, save for the crunch of gravel beneath Izuku's boots. Dust motes floated in the air like ash as he breathed steadily, arms outstretched. In each hand, a shimmering emerald construct pulsed, one a jagged blade, the other a tower shield shaped like a rhombus. Okay, focus, he whispered to himself. He charged forward, slamming the shield into a rusted car door. It bent inward with a metallic groan, crumpling beneath the impact. He followed up with a spinning slash, his crystalline blade slicing clean through a concrete slab he'd set up as a target. Shards of rock exploded outward. Izuku grinned, panting. He hadn't stopped training since registering his quirk. For the past week, it had been school, homework, and then back to this abandoned lot. No All Might, no Bakugo, just him, his notebooks, and the burning longing to control this newfound gift. He pressed his palms together, forming a diamond staff. It extended outward like a lance of light. The construct were getting easier to shape, more stable, but they still drained him. Each large weapon left a tingling burn in his chest and fingertips, like he was spending stamina he didn't quite have yet. Still, it felt right, like this power belonged to him. He lowered the staff and wiped sweat from his brow. Even under the afternoon sun, the diamond glimmered like frost. Later that night, Midoriya apartment, Izuku, Inko said cautiously as she served him rice and grilled fish. "Are you sure you want to apply to UA? It's so dangerous." "And after what happened, I'm more sure than ever, Mom," he said quietly. "This quirk, it's strong. It saved my life. It might be the only thing I've ever had that could make me stand next to real heroes." Inko hesitated, but her eyes softened. "All right, then we'll get your application in by tomorrow." Izuku nodded gratefully. In his room later, he opened Hero Analysis for the Future number 14, flipped to a blank page, and began drawing diagrams. Crystalline constructs, properties and limitations, diamond spear variants, reflective armor shell, V2, he smiled. If he was going to be a hero, he'd be one forged by his own mind as much as by his powers. 1 week later, Dagobah Beach, All Might. Izuku nearly fell over when the towering hero appeared behind him, wearing a yellow hoodie and casual jeans. "You left sludge villain residue all over my reputation." All Might grinned. "But I'm here to settle a debt." Izuku blinked. "What do you mean? I've been keeping an eye on you. You manifested a unique and potentially unprecedented quirk, but you lack training. Raw potential isn't enough. S entrance exam is brutal, especially the combat portion. You need strength, agility, speed." Izuku's eyes widened. "You're offering to train me. Think of it as a personal boot camp," All Might said with a thumbs up. "In 10 months, we'll turn this skinny, crystal-wielding genius into a hero candidate worthy of UA." Izuku's heart raced. Yes, I'll do it." All Might clapped his hands. "Excellent. First challenge, clean this beach." "What?" All Might gestured to the massive piles of garbage and abandoned appliances along the coast. "If you want to control your quirk, you'll first control your body. Strength through effort, endurance through sweat, and most of all, DSBLN." Izuku stared at the landfill. "So, crystal gauntlets to lift broken fridges." All Might beamed. "That's the spirit." Montage. 3 months into training, Izuku lifts junk with reinforced diamond arms, forms mining pickaxes from crystal, and uses them to break apart cement, creates flat crystal panels to drag piles of garbage like sleds, races against a ticking stopwatch while wearing diamond-weighted boots, collapses in exhaustion, but gets up again every time. 6 months later, he stood on the beach, shirt off, muscles finally defined, eyes focused. "Let's go again," he said, summoning dual arm blades. All Might grinned. "You're becoming something truly rare, kid." 10 months later, the night before the exam, Izuku stared out over the now pristine beach, his bag slung over his shoulder. Inko stood beside him, teary-eyed but proud. "You've changed so much," she whispered. He smiled, creating a tiny diamond star and placing it in her palm. "I'm going to pass. I have to." And in the distance, the gates of UA high school awaited. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 4 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 4. Shatter the scoreboard. The front gates of UA high school loomed like a monument to destiny. Izuku stood in front of them, fists clenched, heart pounding beneath his ribs. He had trained for 10 long months. His arms bore the evidence, slightly calloused, lightly scarred and strong. Not just from lifting weights, but from wielding weapons he created. And now it all came down to this. All right, he whispered to himself. No stuttering, no panic. Just get through the exam. You got this. He took one step forward and immediately tripped. Wah! But before he hit the ground, a gentle pressure caught him mid-fall. He blinked. He was floating. Sorry, came a cheerful voice. I saw you about to hit the pavement and panicked. A brunette girl with a pink backpack smiled at him, fingers pressed together. She'd used her quirk, zero gravity, to stop his fall. Izuku's face turned red. Thanks. That was amazing. She laughed. Good luck in there. He nodded, trying not to panic. First core contact, and I didn't cry. Progress. You. Hey. Entrance exam. Briefing room. Present Mike stood at the podium, vibrant and loud as ever. Yo, applicants. Welcome to the U.A. entrance exam. Today you'll be doing a practical combat trial. Points will be awarded for defeating robot enemies, each with different values. Izuku clutched his notebook, scanning through the layout. 1-point robot, small and fast. 2-point robot, mid-range size. 3-point robot, heavy but slower. 0-point robot, a massive obstacle machine. Not worth points. Avoid. He nodded. Clear enough. Then he heard a voice behind him. If you're trying to memorize that, you'll lose. Izuku turned to see a tall, blue-haired boy adjusting his glasses. Tenya, he introduced. From Samme Private Academy. And you're muttering and distracting others. That's not very hero-like. Izuku froze. Sorry. I didn't mean to. Ida blinked at him, then glanced down at the notebook. You're the crystal user. The one from the sludge incident. Izuku paled. Wait, how do you know about that? It was on every hero blog last week. Your quirk appeared suddenly and demolished a Class B villain. That's rare. I'll be watching you closely. Thanks. Ida nodded firmly and walked away. Battle Center C. Countdown begins. The gates in front of the City Sim mock battleground creaked open. Begin. Present Mick's voice boomed. No buzzer. No warning. Izuku hesitated just for a second. Then he ran. The other applicants surged forward, but Izuku took a sharp turn left, ducking behind a concrete slab and summoning a pair of diamond gauntlets. The first 1-pointer rounded the corner. Shirring. A diamond spike jutted from Izuku's palm. He jabbed it straight into the robot's core, shatter, and it crumpled to the ground. 1 point. He kept moving. This time he used the gauntlets to grab a pipe and vault upward, forming a crystalline shield to block a laser blast. A 2-pointer opened fire from a rooftop. Izuku focused, forming a glowing javelin. Let's test range. He hurled the spear, thwack. Direct hit. 2 points. A grin spread across his face. This was working. It was really working. 7 minutes in, Izuku had taken down 6 robots. 3 1-pointers, 2 2-pointers, and 1 3-pointer. His arms glowed with crystalline residue, but he was getting tired. The big constructs were draining, especially the full-body armor he'd formed earlier. Suddenly, boom, the ground trembled. Shadows fell over the field. Students screamed and ran as the massive 0-point robot, towering like a skyscraper on wheels, barreled through the city model. Izuku turned wide-eyed. What the? It's huge. The machine was demolishing everything in its path. It wasn't worth points, so most students ran. But Izuku heard something. A scream. He turned and saw the same girl from before, Uraraka, pinned beneath a slab of rubble. Her leg was trapped. The 0-pointer was headed straight for her. He didn't hesitate. Don't be stupid, he muttered to himself as he sprinted. It's not worth points, but it's worth being a hero. He launched a crystal hook forward, embedding it into the nearest wall, and swung like a grappling line. As he reached her, he slammed down a diamond wall between her and the oncoming machine. Then he threw his hands down. Crack! 2 massive diamond pillars erupted from the ground, launching him upward like a catapult. His body glowed with raw crystal, armor forming over his chest and limbs. He soared directly into the robot's face. Going up, he drove a gigantic diamond spear straight into the robot's eye. Boom! The robot staggered. Another move. A massive spike from his chest, like a porcupine made of blades. K.A. crack. The robot collapsed backward, headfirst, into the street. Its limbs sparked and twitched. Silence fell over the arena. Then cheers. Izuku dropped to the ground beside Uraraka, panting. The crystal armor shattered into fragments as he collapsed. "Are you okay?" he gasped. She blinked up at him. "Why, yeah, are you? You just took down a skyscraper with diamonds." He smiled weakly, then passed out. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 5 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 5. Acceptance and anticipation. The world returned to Izuku Midoriya in fragments. A rhythmic beep, beep, beep echoed in his ears. The scent of antiseptic tickled his nose. He opened his eyes to sterile white light and a ceiling fan turning slowly above him. "Where?" "You're awake," a soft voice said nearby. He turned his head and saw a recovery girl standing beside his hospital bed, arms crossed and lollipop in her mouth. "You really pushed yourself," she said, sighing. "Shredded your muscle fibers, cracked your own bone structure from pressure stress, and nearly passed out from Quirk overuse. If you weren't so stubborn, I'd say you were lucky." Izuku blinked. "I am sorry." She rolled her eyes fondly. "Don't apologize. I've treated worse. But you're not allowed to break yourself this badly again, got it?" He nodded meekly. "I healed you enough to get back on your feet. The rest, you'll need to recover the old-fashioned way. Sleep, water, maybe some milk. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank that girl you saved. She made a big fuss until we brought you in. Uraraka, right?" Izuku's face turned red. "She's okay, right? Thanks to you. Not even a scratch." He exhaled in relief. 3 days later, Midoriya apartment. Izuku sat on the couch, nervously chewing his lip, eyes glued to the mailbox. He checked it at least 5 times a day. "Come on," he muttered. "The letter has to come today." Inko entered the room, holding a tray of snacks. "Sweetie, it's okay if you don't get in. You saved a girl's life. That's already something a real hero would do." "I know, Mom, but I have to get in." As if on cue, the doorbell rang. Izuku flew to the door and opened it. There it was, a thin white envelope with the U.A. logo embossed in gold. He held it like a sacred artifact. His hands trembled as he opened it. A small, disc-shaped projector fell out and activated. A glowing hologram of All Might appeared in his living room. "Hello, young Midoriya," the hologram boomed. "Congratulations on surviving the practical exam. Your performance was spectacular." Izuku's mouth dropped. "You demonstrated initiative, strategy, and the true spirit of heroism, especially when you rushed in to save another student, knowing there were no points in it. That's the kind of heart you-A needs." The projection cut to footage. Izuku's diamond spear slamming into the Zero Pointer's face in a burst of emerald light. "Which is why," All Might said, his voice growing proud, "you earned 60 combat points and 45 rescue points. That's a total of 105 points, placing you 3rd overall in the rankings." Izuku gasped. "3rd? That's right. Welcome to you, a high school hero in training." The hologram ended. Silence. Then Izuku leapt off the couch, cheering like a madman. "I made it! I made it!" Inko cried tears of joy and hugged him tightly. "You did it, Izuku. You really did it." 1 week later, U.A. High School, main campus. The towering main building of U.A. gleamed in the morning sun. Students flooded in through the gates, each one carrying dreams of becoming the next symbol of peace. Izuku walked through the halls in his crisp new uniform, feeling a strange mix of fear and excitement. This is it, the real beginning. He found his classroom, 1A. He slid the door open and immediately froze. Inside were some of the top-ranked students from the exam. Uraraka waved from the 2nd row. Ida stood near the front, hands clasped like a soldier. Others whispered and chatted, but one person turned immediately. But Kugo. Their eyes met. Katsuki's stare was unreadable. Not hatred, not surprise. Something between challenge and curiosity. Izuku took a seat without a word. Moments later, the door slammed open. A man in a yellow sleeping bag dragged himself in like a caterpillar. "If you're here to socialize, go home," he said, standing up and revealing tired eyes and long black hair. "I'm your homeroom teacher, Aizawa. Get dressed. We're doing a Quirk assessment test." Someone raised a hand. "But isn't there an opening ceremony? If you care about that, transfer schools. You're here to be heroes. Let's see if you're cut out for it." Izuku's stomach dropped. A core test on the first day. Aizawa turned to face the class, his gaze sharp. "You, doesn't coddle anyone. Whoever finishes last in this test will be expelled." To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 6 of Crystalline. Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 6, Diamonds Under Pressure. A locker room buzzed with confusion and tension. Expelled. On the first day. Kaminari shrieked, tugging on his uniform sleeve. "That's insane. I thought you—" "It was supposed to be fun," Mina muttered. "Fun." Bakugo snorted from the bench. "This isn't a summer camp. It's a school for heroes." Meanwhile, Izuku stood silently, pulling on his gym uniform and clenching his fists. His heart pounded, but not out of fear. It was something else. A pressure, deep and sharp like a diamond being tested. Aizawa's watching. "I need to show him I belong here." Training grounds, PE field. The students of Class 1A assembled in rows on the wide dirt field. Aizawa stood lazily before them with a tablet in hand. "Bakugo," he said flatly, "you got the highest score in the entrance exam. What was your best distance for the softball throw in middle school?" Bakugo cracked his neck. 67 meters. Aizawa tossed him a ball. "Use your quirk." Bakugo grinned and stalked up to the pitch line. He reeled his arm back, sweat glinting in the sun. Die. Boom. The ball exploded into the sky on a blast of searing flame. Everyone's phones beeped. The screen read, 705. 2 meters. The class erupted. "What? That's insane. He just blew it into orbit." Aizawa didn't react. "This is the Quirk assessment test. Softball throw. Dash. Grip strength. Side-to-side jumps. Long jump. All the usual stuff with your quirks." Then he smiled grimly. "Whoever finishes last is out." The excitement died. But that's not fair." Uraraka protested. "We didn't know we'd be judged like this." Aizawa's hair rose slightly. His eyes glowed red behind his goggles, his quirk activating. "Life's not fair. A villain won't wait for you to get used to your powers. If you can't adapt under pressure, then you don't belong here." He looked straight at Izuku. "He's testing me. He knows I'm the outlier." Izuku nodded slowly. "Then let's show him what I can do." Test 1. 50-meter dash. Izuku lined up next to Tenya Ida. The engine-legged boy stretched like a track athlete. "Apologies in advance," Ida said sincerely. "I'll be sprinting at full throttle." "Wouldn't expect anything less," Izuku replied, forming crystalline soles on his shoes, diamond cleats for traction. "Ready, go." Vizzium. Ida rocketed forward in a burst of speed. Izuku followed, his soles digging in. After 10 meters, he forced 2 diamond blades out from his arms, digging them into the ground like grappling anchors, vaulting himself forward. The crowd gasped. Time, 6:38 seconds. Ida, 3 for seconds. "Not bad," Aizawa muttered. "Creative." Test 2. Grip strength. Izuku grabbed the handles of the machine and focused. Engage crystal layering. Reinforce fingers. Distribute tension. Diamond crept over his hands and wrists like gauntlets. Beep. 764 kilograms. "What?" Kirishima shouted. "Dude's got monster hands." "Those are crystals," Siro whispered. Aizawa's eyebrow twitched. Reinforcement technique. Efficient. Test 3. Standing long jump. Izuku crouched low, formed diamond pistons beneath his feet, and launched. He soared over the sand pit, landing 10 meters out. Test 4. Side-to-side steps here. Izuku struggled. The rapid pace and short timing made it hard to balance large constructs. Smaller, lighter. He formed thin diamond rings around his ankles, shock absorbers. It helped. He didn't win, but he didn't fall behind either. Test 5. Ball throw. Izuku held the ball in his hand. Everyone watched him, even Bakugo. Aizawa narrowed his eyes. This is your moment. Izuku took a deep breath, then formed a long, crystalline spear, threading the ball through the tip like a warhead. He spun once, then hurled it like a javelin. Whoosh! The air cracked. The ball vanished into the sky, trailing emerald light. The class waited. Beep beep. 742. 1 meters. Dang. Kaminari yelled. Where'd you learn to throw like that? I didn't, Izuku panted. The spear did most of the work. Bakugo's eyes narrowed. End of test. Results. Aizawa stood before the scoreboard. Midoriya. Izuku tensed. You placed 8th overall. Gasped echoed. No way. From Quirkless to top 10. Bakugo scowled. He placed 2nd. And the one in last place is... Everyone held their breath. Mineta. The purple-haired boy nearly fainted. Wait, you said you were joking. I did. I lied. Aizawa dropped his tablet. Welcome to you. Everyone exhaled in relief, except Izuku, who let out the breath he'd been holding for what felt like forever. I passed. I'm still here. Aizawa approached him privately as the class walked off. You're not like the others. Izuku blinked. Sir, I saw what happened at the exam. That wasn't just a mutation-type quirk. There's something else to your power. Izuku swallowed. I don't really understand it either. Aizawa studied him. Figure it out. Because whatever it is, it's dangerous. And powerful. Don't let it control you. Izuku nodded. He looked down at his hands, already shimmering faintly with energy again. I won't. I'll MSTR it. Because I'm not just a hero in training. I'm a weapon in the making. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 7 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 7. Hero basic training. The next morning, Izuku barely made it out of bed before excitement yanked him fully awake. Hero training. Real, official, full uniform hero training. He stood in front of his mirror, heart pounding. The standard U.A. gym uniform was gone. In its place, his first hero costume. Designed after weeks of back and forth with the support department, Izuku's suit was a combination of mobility and resilience. Emerald green armored boots and gloves reinforced with synthetic diamond plates, a black undersuit made of carbon fiber mesh, and a sleek visor to help with light refraction from his own quirk. The chest bore a faint crystal pattern, subtle, but unmistakably his. In the mirror, Izuku stared at his reflection for a moment longer. I look like a real hero, he whispered. Then he smiled. No, I look like the hero I want to become. You, at Ground Beta Class 1, stood in awe at the edge of the massive training city. Skyscrapers, alleyways, highways. It looked like an actual urban sprawl, just one of the countless training zones you had on standby. All right, a familiar voice shouted. All Might, now in full costume, appeared in a burst of wind and glory. Welcome to your first official class, Hero Basic Training. The students collectively tensed, half out of excitement, half in terror. All Might, Kirishima exclaimed. We get trained by All Might. This is awesome. Kaminari cheered. Izuku swallowed hard. This was the first time All Might would see him use his quirk formally in class. He couldn't afford to mess up. All right, students, All Might said, tossing a clipboard behind him. Today we're doing a battle trial. Hero versus villain. Realistic combat scenarios. He gestured behind him, and a drone hovered into view carrying 2 boxes. 1 box for hero teams and 1 for villain teams. He turned dramatically. Team assignments will be random. Team drawings team, the heroes Izuku Midoriya and Achiko Uraraka Team D. Villains Katsuki Bakugo and Tenya Ida. Izuku's breath caught at his throat. Bakugo. Of course it had to be Bakugo. Uraraka leaned toward him. Hey, we got this. We'll be like a fence and mobility. You crystal, I float. He smiled nervously. Right. Yeah. Float and shatter. Trial begins. Ground Beta, interior the scenario. Villains have planted a bomb. Heroes must either secure it or subdue the villains. Izuku and Uraraka entered from the first floor. Okay, Izuku whispered. We assume Bakugo will be aggressive. It'll play defense, especially with the bomb. We split. I'll take Bakugo. You go for the bomb. Alone. He hesitated. You're the best shot we have at maneuvering around him. I can't let Bakugo near it. She nodded. Good luck, Diamond Boy. He chuckled. Let's go. Third floor, clash boom. Bakugo exploded through the ceiling, grenade, gauntlets primed, teeth bared in a savage grin. DEKU. Izuku braced himself, forming full-arm diamond gauntlets with reinforced forearms. The explosion hit him, and he slid backward, but the crystals absorbed the brunt of the blast. Bakugo landed, snarling. So, the rumors are true. You do have a flashy quirk now. Izuku stood tall. Yeah, and I'm not afraid to use it. Bakugo lunged forward, palm igniting. Izuku blocked with his left, his right forming into a jagged blade. He slashed upward, just missing Bakugo's shoulder. You always wanted to play hero, Bakugo growled. But you're just a pebble under my boot. I'm not quirkless anymore. Izuku shouted, slamming both fists into the floor. Diamond spikes erupted around him in a defensive circle. I don't care what you are. Bakugo roared, blasting through the wall of crystal. They clashed again and again. Explosions versus precision. Heat versus structure. Rage versus restraint. Izuku was being pushed back, but not broken. Not this time. You're not the same kid who cried behind notebooks. He pushed forward, spinning, forming a massive diamond shield. He slammed it into Bakugo with a burst of momentum, sending him crashing into a column. I'm not your punching bag anymore. Meanwhile, bomb room, Uraraka tiptoed into the bomb chamber where Ida stood guard, arms folded like a security robot. He monologued about evil justice, clearly enjoying himself. She smiled. Sorry, Mr. Villain. She touched a piece of debris, floated it, and launched it like a missile, distracting Ida long enough to dart past and tap the bomb. Hero team wins, the announcement echoed. Aftermath back outside, All Might clapped enthusiastically. Excellent strategy, Team A. Midoriya, you use your quirk to buy time and control space. Uraraka, your timing was perfect. Izuku smiled, panting, arms still faintly glowing. Bakugo stood off to the side, hands in his pockets, glaring at nothing in particular. But he didn't say anything. Later, as the class walked back inside, Uraraka leaned over. Hey, you didn't just survive that. You matched him. Izuku smiled. No, I'm just getting started. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 8 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 8. Cracks beneath the surface the next morning came fast. Too fast. Izuku's muscles ached with every step as he climbed the stairs toward Class 1A's homeroom. His shoulders, arms, and back were sore from yesterday's crystal overuse. His fingertips were red and stiff, and his palms still tingled from generating the massive diamond shield he'd slammed into Bakugo. But despite it all, he smiled. His first real combat trial had ended in victory, and more importantly, he hadn't broken. He'd faced Bakugo head-on, not as a punching bag, but as an equal. No, not equal, he thought. Better. For once, I won. As he stepped into the classroom, silence hit him like a wall. Every head turned to him. Uraraka waved and grinned. Ida nodded formally. Kaminari whispered something to Shiro behind his hand. Even Todoroki, silent and distant until now, glanced his way with narrowed eyes. And Bakugo sat at the back of the room, arms folded, staring out the window, not speaking, not even looking at him. Izuku swallowed. So, this is what it feels like to be noticed. Later that morning, U.A. Cafeteria lunch rushes famous curry steamed on trays as Class 1A gathered at one table, an unspoken declaration of unity after their first battle trials. I still can't believe you fought Bakugo and won, Kaminari said through a mouthful of rice. You're like a tank made of crystal. I wouldn't say won, Izuku replied shyly. Almost blew me through a wall. Yeah, but you held your ground, Kirishima said, clapping him on the back. That takes guts, man. Uraraka leaned forward. How does your quirk actually work, anyway? You're making diamond stuff, but it moves like it's alive. Izuku paused. I'm still figuring that part out. I can form shapes from my skin, blades, armor, projectiles, but it's like my body's making them from internal pressure, not storing them, generating them. Is it draining? Yaoyorozu asked, curious. Yeah, if I make something big or complex, I feel like I'm burning stamina, especially if I push past what I've trained for. Tokoyami hummed from across the table. You're forging weapons under pressure. The metaphor is literal. Thanks, I think. Izuku blinked. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the room. Bakugo slammed his tray down at a distant table and sat alone, stabbing at his food in silence. The whole table went quiet. Should we ask him to sit with us? Uraraka asked cautiously. No, Kirishima said with a sigh. Let him cool off. He's not used to losing. Izuku tried not to look, but he couldn't help the pit forming in his stomach. That afternoon, Class 1A, the bell rang, and the door slid open. A woman in red glasses and a lab coat entered, her footsteps sharp and confident. Good afternoon, students. I'm Power Loader, here to SCRT you to your quirk analysis session. Ida stood. A quirk what now? Each of you will undergo a baseline analysis. We'll measure your quirk output, stamina, physical reinforcement, and neurological response while using your abilities. Welcome to you, A, where science meets survival. Support lab. Analysis room, Z. The room looked like a sci-fi testing facility. Holograms, resistance machines, and pressure platforms lined the walls. Students were being tested in groups of 5. Izuku was paired with Todoroki, Jairu, Kaminari, and Azui. Midoriya, Power Loader said, tapping her tablet. You're up. Let's test your quirk's structural integrity. Step into the pressure cage. Izuku nodded, stepping onto a reinforced platform. He summoned a thick diamond shield from his left forearm and took a stance. Pressure increasing in 3, 2, 1 crash. A piston slammed down onto the shield. Izuku grunted, holding steady. Another blow came, then another, faster and harder. The gauge beeped. Stability, 92%. Fractured depth, 3 millimeters. Impressive, Power Loader said, eyes gleaming. Your construct distribute force efficiently. But can you project under strain? Let's find out, Izuku said, forming a throwing knife from his other hand and hurling it at a moving target. Bullseye. Todoroki watched from a corner. You're not like the others, he said quietly. Izuku turned. I get that a lot. You're not just a mutation type, Todoroki continued. You're generating something from nothing. That's close to what my father calls a creation class quirk. I don't know what I am yet. You should figure it out. Fast. Izuku nodded. I will. That night, Midoriya apartment, Izuku sat at his desk, bandaged fingers scribbling into hero analysis for the future number 15. Observation. Crystals form faster under emotional pressure. Maybe tied to stress response system. Theory. Energy is not stored, but pulled from secondary source, either cellular or something else. Potential. Energy to solid conversion rate increasing. Possibly exponential. He paused, tapping the pen to his chin. I'm not quirkless anymore, but I still don't understand this power. He looked down at his palm. Tiny crystal flakes were still there, sparkling like stardust. Meanwhile, unknown location far away, in a dark lab deep beneath the city, a man in a lab coat adjusted the dial on a large machine. A hologram flickered to life. Footage from UAS trial battle. The boy, Midoriya, was on screen, summoning diamond weapons and crashing through concrete. Fascinating, the man murmured. Subject 9 shows signs of adaptive crystalline manipulation. Self-generating. He smiled. It's begun again. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 9 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 9. Heat and heart, the sky above you. A. Shimmered with the heat of the rising sun as Class 1A assembled outside the main campus gate. Izuku stood near the front, visor down, gloves tight, and heart pounding. Today wasn't combat. Today wasn't tests. Today was something new. Their first rescue mission simulation. A tall man with long black hair, bandaged arms, and the expression of someone who hadn't slept in a week stood before them. Aizawa. Listen up. You're being sent to the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, also called the USJ. It's a disaster training facility. Uraraka lit up, like for earthquakes and floods. Aizawa nodded. Natural disasters, structural collapses, hostage situations, fires, floods, you name it. It's the first step to becoming heroes who save lives, not just punch villains. Before anyone could respond, boom. Wind blasted the courtyard. All Might landed beside them, still in full muscular form. And I am here for rescue training. The class cheered. Izuku's chest swelled with excitement. This is what I trained for. What I've dreamed of since I was a kid. Saving people, not just fighting. USJ facility, Disaster Dome. The dome itself was enormous, mimicking real environments. A landslide zone, collapsed buildings, a shipwrecked harbor, a burning industrial zone, even a floodplain. A space-themed hero with dark skin and purple hair greeted them at the door. I'm 13. My quirk is Black Hole. I'll be your instructor today. Please be aware, your quirks can be dangerous, not just to villains, but to innocent people. So today, we focus on control and protection. Izuku nodded, fists tightening slightly. He knew better than anyone what losing control of a quirk could mean. 13 smiled gently. Now, let's break into groups, but she never finished the sentence. Crack-cum. The lights flickered. The air shifted. The ground trembled. A spiraling black portal opened near the center of the USJ dome. Dozens of figures stepped through it. Villains. Real ones. Villain ambush, everyone back. Aizawa shouted, scarf snapping outward as he moved. Izuku's mind raced. That's a warp gate quirk. How do they get inside? The air grew colder as a hulking figure emerged from the gate. Dark-skinned, brain exposed, beady yellow eyes. And beside him a man with hands all over his body. The air itself seemed to rot where he walked. That's Shigaraki, Aizawa whispered, eyes narrowing. Everyone stay behind me. But it was too late. The portal expanded. A black hole of energy swirled beneath the class. Izuku turned just in time to see it grab him. Midoriya, Uraraka shouted. The world twisted, and then Izuku was gone. USJ, Fire Zone. Izuku hit the ground hard. Flames licked the air around him. Metal beams bent and glowed red-hot. Rubble burned. He coughed, rolling to his feet, vision blurry from the smoke. A villain stepped from the shadows. A flame-wielding brute, his body pulsing with heat. Well, what do we have here? He sneered. A little hero stuck in my playground. Izuku activated his quirk on instinct. Diamond armor burst over his chest and arms, reflecting the heat like polished steel. I'm not stuck, Izuku said, coughing. I'm in position. He lunged forward, forming twin short swords, and slashed. But the villain blasted him with fire point blank. Izuku flew back into a metal pipe, the heat searing through his armor. Too hot. The crystals are holding, but not for long. The villain laughed. Nice rocks. Let's see how long they last when I melt you alive. Izuku versus Firestorm. The heat was unbearable. His suit's sensors beeped, warning of temperature overload. His hands trembled as he formed another shield. This one thicker, faceted, gleaming brighter than ever. The villain roared, hurling fireball after fireball. Izuku charged through them. His shield cracked. His armor hissed. But he kept moving. Then, he threw the shield like a discus. Crunch! It slammed into the villain's jaw, knocking him backward. Izuku tackled him, driving a diamond spike into the floor to pin the villain's coat. Then he stood, panting. If I can't beat the fire, I'll outlast it. The villain tried to rise. Too slow. Izuku formed a jagged crystalline gauntlet and decked him across the face. KO. He collapsed beside the defeated villain, vision blurry, heart pounding. Then a hand grabbed his wrist. Come on. It was Uraraka, soot-covered, panting. I found you. Are you okay? Izuku smiled weakly. I'm fire-roasted, but I'm still standing. She laughed as they helped each other toward the exit. Outside the dome, Aizawa fought like a demon. 13 was injured. All Might hadn't arrived yet. But the class was regrouping. Kirishima, Todoroki, Yaoyorozu, Ida, they were working together, holding the line. Then, boom, The wall exploded. All Might arrived, and he wasn't smiling. He looked at Shigaraki, at the Nomu, and said only one thing: get away from my students. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 10 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 10. The symbol stands the sky above the USJ darkened, not from clouds but from fear. Students huddled behind shattered walls and burning debris. The air was thick with smoke, sweat, and terror. And at the center of it all stood All Might. No smile, no playful tone, just steel in his eyes and a storm in his stance. He looked down at the hulking, monstrous creature standing beside Shigaraki. The Nomu, muscles like steel cables, claws dripping with fluid, brain exposed, spine reinforced with cybernetic plating. A beast designed for destruction. All Might took a step forward. Shigaraki twitched, his fingers flexing on the hand covering his face. That's as far as you go. Noma, kill him. The monster moved, faster than anyone expected, and in the blink of an eye boom, the Nomu's fist collided with All Might's gut and sent him flying through 3 concrete walls. Class 1 Observation Point. Izuku and Uraraka crouched behind a collapsed column with Ida, Todoroki, and a few others. He hit All Might, hard. Ida whispered, eyes wide. But he's okay, right? Uraraka asked. Izuku didn't answer. He was staring at the hole in the wall. His fingers curled, diamonds slowly crawling over his knuckles again. He'll get up, he whispered. He has to. Battlefield. Inside the dome, All Might emerged from the rubble, brushing dust from his cape. Not bad, he said. You've got power. Noma screeched and charged again. Crash. Fist met fist. Shockwaves exploded outward, shattering nearby support beams. The ground cracked. Wind howled. Izuku watched from behind cover as 2 gods collided. But something was wrong. All Might was slowing down. He's losing stamina, Izuku realized, heart sinking. He's burning. Through his time limit. If this goes on, Shigaraki cackled. You didn't know, did you? Noma has shock absorption, and he's modified to match your strength. All Might gritted his teeth, then smiled. Then I'll have to punch harder. The turning tide, All Might's fists became a blur. Left, right, left again. Each blow cratered the floor. Each hit pushed Noma back an inch. But the creature wouldn't fall. It regenerated too fast. It tanked each strike, and All Might's movements slowed even more. Izuku's breath caught. He can't win like this. He's running out of time. A memory surged. The scar on All Might's side. The injury. The truth no one else knew. He turned to Ida. You have to run. What? No, go to the school. Get help. Get the other teachers. If we don't do something, All Might could. His voice cracked. He could die. Ida saw the fear in Izuku's eyes and ran. Final stand. All Might stood tall, BLD dripping from his lip. Noma launched another punch. All Might caught it. The air trembled. You're not the first villain to think brute force would end me. His body flexed. You say you have shock absorption, but you don't have shock nullification. He pulled his arm back. This is over. His muscles bulged. Wind coiled around his frame like a hurricane. Because I'm going... Plus. Ultra. Smash. His fist collided with Nomu's chest and sent it flying into the stratosphere. Windows shattered. Mountains trembled. Clouds parted. Silence. Then collapse. All Might fell to one knee. Steam rose from his body. I'm reaching my limit, he gasped. Aftermath. Shigaraki stood stunned. Noma was made to kill you. How? But the moment broke when teachers arrived in force. Midnight, Cementos, Present Mike, and more. 13 was rescued. Students pulled to safety. A warp gate opened, and Shigaraki, seething, vanished. Later, Infirmary. Izuku sat beside All Might's bed. The man was thin again, hunched, coughing. The sight never got easier. You saved everyone, Izuku said softly. I almost didn't, All Might replied. But you did. All Might looked over at him. You fought back too, didn't you? I held off one villain. Barely. You faced fire. Alone. You protected others. That's more than most pros could say. Izuku's hands curled. I wasn't strong enough to stop the Nomu, but I will be. All Might smiled. You're already on the right path. Izuku stood. Then he turned, eyes sharp. What was that thing? All Might looked up at the ceiling, face grim. That was the beginning. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 11 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 11. Whispers beneath the surface. The mood at you. A had shifted. The normally vibrant halls felt heavier, quieter. Guards stood at every entrance. Steel doors replaced glass ones. Drones patrolled the perimeter like hawks. Every classroom had a reinforced lockdown protocol. The attack on the USJ had rattled more than just the students. It had shaken the world. News outlets broadcast images of the destroyed facility. Symbol of peace nearly defeated. Headlines read. Rumors spread like wildfire. Was All Might losing his power? Had you, A, failed to protect its students? Izuku walked to class beneath this storm, a quiet determination in his chest. If this is what being a hero means, I need to be ready for it. Class 1A. Morning homeroom. Aizawa entered the room with bandages wrapped around his head, neck, and arms. He looked like a mummy, a very tired, grumpy mummy. The class stood up immediately. Aizawa-sensei, are you? I'm fine, he muttered, voice dry as dust. Don't make a fuss. Sit down. The class obeyed in stunned silence. First things first. You did well. All of you. You stayed calm under pressure. You followed orders. Some of you even fought back without freezing. He paused. Not bad for first years. Izuku felt a swell of pride and guilt. Aizawa continued. But you, A, is under fire now. Critics are demanding higher security. The board is implementing a tighter schedule. Then he pulled up a screen behind him. UA, Sports Festival, rescheduled. Gasps rang out. Wait, what? They're still doing it. Kaminari said. Aizawa nodded. Yes, because now, more than ever, the world needs to see that heroes aren't afraid, that our students won't back down from the spotlight. The festival will go on in 1 week. Izuku's breath caught. 1 week. This is your chance, Aizawa said, eyes landing on Izuku, then Bakugo, then Todoroki, to show the world who you are. Later, dorm roof. Izuku sat alone on the rooftop, sketching in his notebook. Note 14. Crystal generation. Still unknown origin. Crystals remain stable under direct heat, but struggle against chemical corrosion. Current limit. 4 meters of solid structure before fatigue. Must increase. He stared at the sketch he'd drawn of Nomo. That thing didn't feel pain, didn't hesitate, and it matched All Might blow for blow. He flipped to a new page and began sketching a logo. Not for All Might. For himself. An idea. His own symbol. Still thinking like a strategist, huh? Izuku looked up. Shoto Todoroki stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, hair blowing gently in the wind. I guess, Izuku said sheepishly. It's how I process things. Todoroki walked closer. You fought in the fire zone, didn't you? Izuku nodded. Yeah. Todoroki's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed. Then you understand heat limits. You mean yours? Izuku tilted his head. Or mine? Both. He sat beside him. Your quirk is defensive by nature, but I saw what you did to that villain. You fought aggressively when it mattered. Only because I had to, Izuku said. I don't think I'm strong enough yet. Todoroki was silent for a moment. Then, without warning, he said, My father wants me to dominate the sports festival. Izuku blinked. What? He's watching. He wants me to prove I'm stronger than everyone else, especially someone like you. Me? Todoroki looked directly at him. You're something new, something he didn't account for. Your quirk doesn't come from him, from power, from lineage. It's unique, and it scares him. Izuku was stunned. Why tell me this? Because I'm not here to be his weapon. I'm here to show him he can't control me. He stood. So don't hold back, Midoriya, because I won't. Then he left, as cold and precise as ever. Izuku stared at the empty air where Todoroki had stood. Everyone has their scars, even the strongest. Elsewhere, underground lab, the man in the lab coat watched the monitors again. He rewound the footage. Izuku mid-fight, his arms covered in glowing emerald crystal, his eyes glowing faintly with energy. Subject 9, he whispered. A synthetic voice behind him responded, "Shall we initiate contact?" "Not yet," the man murmured. "The crystal gene is still evolving, but the patterns are clear." He tapped the screen. The boy's quirk isn't just a mutation. It's a synthesis, a response to an artificial catalyst. He smiled darkly. "We'll let the sports festival test his limits. Then we collect him." To be continued. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 12 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 12, Cut, Refine, Polish 1 week. That was all the time they had to prepare for the U.A. Sports Festival. A national broadcast. A stadium filled with heroes, scouts, civilians, villains, and government officials. A stage where first-year students would show not only their power, but their potential. And for Izuku Midoriya, it would be his first time under the public spotlight. U.A. Training grounds. Early morning, the sun had barely risen, but Izuku was already sweating. His crystal blades clashed against support dummies, slashing, blocking, pivoting. His arms ached. His breath burned. 1 week. No excuses. He had reinforced his gauntlets with thin plates of carbon diamond weave, letting him grip and generate larger structures without burning his skin. "Sharpness is increasing," he muttered to himself. Crystallization speed now at 0. 9 seconds for thin-edge projections. Need 0.5. He concentrated, forming a spiked crystal WHB and cracked it forward, splitting a dummy in half. I didn't know rocks could move like that. Izuku turned, startled. Mei Hatsum stood at the edge of the field, pink hair wind-blown and eyes gleaming behind her goggles. "Why, you're from the support course, right?" "Bingo," she said, pulling out a clipboard. "I've been watching your training. You got a fascinating quirk. You ever think about boosting it with support gear?" Izuku blinked. I have the gauntlets." She snorted. "Those are fine, but I've got ideas. You generate raw material, yeah, but you're wasting time on manual shaping. What if I give you a framework to mold your crystals faster?" Izuku hesitated. "Like a forming lattice." Now we're speaking the same language. She grinned, tapping her pen against her head. "Leave the mechanics to me. You just keep turning into a walking diamond cannon." Then she vanished as quickly as she appeared. Class 1A dorms. Common room later that evening. The students gathered in the lounge. "I can't believe the whole country's going to be watching us," Kaminari groaned. "My stomach's already freaking out." "You better get used to it," Yeruzu said. "Hero agencies use the sports festival as a recruiting ground." Bakugo leaned against the wall with his arms crossed. "Let him watch. I'm winning." Todoroki looked up. "I plan to win too." Izuku swallowed. "So does everyone else." Then he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Uraraka. "You're overthinking again, aren't you?" He gave a weak laugh. "That obvious. You always get quiet when you're nervous. Like when you were about to face Bakugo." He looked at her. "A lot of powerful people will be there. I don't know what they'll see when they look at me." "They'll see you," she said simply. "The same guy who protected me from an explosion, stood up to Bakugo, and fought through fire to save people. You've already earned your place, Deku." His chest tightened at her words. Then Kirishima stood up, cracking his knuckles. "Enough moping. Let's train like heroes." "Yeah," the class roared. And so they did. Training montage. Izuku tested crystal flight boosters with Mei's early prototype, a back-mounted brace that directed crystal jets downward. He crashed. A lot. Todoroki practiced flash freezing entire hallways in a blink, aiming for more precise cold zones. Uraraka worked on reducing nausea after extended float time. Bakugo trained like he was already at war, blasting dummies and shouting at the sun. And Izuku, every night collapsed in a bed sore, bruised but focused. He was refining not just his quirk, but himself. Not just harder, sharper. Elsewhere, unknown facility, the man in the lab coat studied the latest report. Subject 9 progressing at accelerated rate. Crystal formation responds to emotional surge. Inherent limiters still unstable. He turned to a cloaked figure behind him. Begin infiltration. Phase 1. Observation. The figure nodded and vanished into smoke. Final night before the festival, Izuku stood on the rooftop of the dorms, wind brushing through his hair. He stared up at the stars, his hand glowing faintly with crystal shimmer. Tomorrow, the world sees me. He closed his eyes. I won't be afraid. From behind him, a voice spoke. You'll do fine. He turned to see All Might, arms crossed in his slimmer form, smiling. I've seen what you can do. The strength you've built. The heart you lead with. Izuku lowered his head. I still don't understand what this power really is. You will, but understanding comes second. First comes faith. Faith in yourself. In who you want to be. All Might looked at the horizon. Tomorrow, don't just show them your quirk. Show them your spirit. Show them why you're a hero. Izuku smiled. I will. To be continued. Ready for Chapter 13, where the sports festival begins, with the entrance parade, the first shocking quirk displays, and a mysterious presence watching Izuku from the shadows. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 13 of Crystalline Resolve, a hero made of diamond. Chapter 13, Shining Entrance, Shadows Watching the U.A. Sports Festival. Every year, it drew millions of viewers. Heroes, civilians, and villains alike all turned their eyes to the same stage, to see the next generation rise. And now, it was Izuku Midoriya's turn to stand beneath that spotlight. Hero Course Waiting Room. Pre-event Class 1A sat in silence, clad in full hero costumes. The tension was thick. Even Kaminari wasn't cracking jokes. Izuku stood in front of the mirror, checking his suit. Reinforced gloves, hardened boots, a sleeker crystal reactive visor, and a small back holster crafted by Mei for emergency crystal constructs. You've trained every day for this, he told himself. You've bled for this. You belong here. He caught a glimpse of Bakugo in the mirror's reflection, arms crossed, eyes blazing. And Todoroki, silent and sharp, like a sword waiting to be drawn. The announcer's voice echoed through the walls. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 42nd Annual U.A. Sports Festival. A rumble of cheers shook the stadium. Let's meet the stars of the show, our first-year Hero Course students. Aizawa appeared by the door. You're up. Parade of heroes as they stepped into the blinding arena light. The crowd erupted. Izuku was stunned for a moment. The cheers, the massive screens showing his face, the rush of the moment. He scanned the crowd. Pro-heroes, news agencies, families, strangers, and his mom. She waved, tears in her eyes. He smiled, then stepped forward with confidence. Next to enter, the announcer called, Class 1, Izuku Midoriya, known for his rising fame after the USJ incident, and a quirk capable of generating crystalline constructs. Let's hear it for Diamondhead. Izuku froze at the nickname. He'd never picked one yet, but the crowd loved it. He exhaled slowly and waved. Takes more than muscle to shine, he thought. Takes resolve. Behind the scenes, observation deck high above, in a darkened control room, a cloaked figure watched the screen with analytical precision. They zoomed in on Izuku's face. This is the one, the observer whispered into a comlink. Subject 9, confirmed. Begin passive scan. A second voice responded, Yes, sir. Tracking emotional spikes and quirk resonance now. The figures smile beneath their mask. The crystal evolution is accelerating. We'll let him play for now. Sports Festival, opening speech Pro Hero Midnight, stepped to the center stage. Welcome, everyone. As always, the Sports Festival is more than a game. It's a legacy. This is where heroes are made, where names are remembered, and where dreams are forged. The crowd roared. Let's begin with the first event, the obstacle race. Students looked at one another in shock. The entire stadium is your course. First 42 students to cross the finish line move on. Quirks allowed. No killing. She winked. Have fun. Starting line. Obstacle race. Izuku took his position beside Todoroki, Bakugo, and Uraraka. He cracked his knuckles. His boots locked into combat stance. His breath was slow. Focused. Todoroki turned to him. I'm not holding back. Izuku smiled. Good. I wouldn't want you to. Bakugo snorted, palms already steaming. Try to keep up, extras. Midnight raised her WHP. On your mark, get set. Boom. The starting gun fired. Race begins. The first obstacle appeared almost instantly. A field of giant robots, some even taller than the USJ ones. They looked like the ones from the entrance exam. Kaminari yelled. Izuku wasted no time. He slammed his fist into the ground. Diamond pillars burst upward, launching him into the air. He angled his arms, forming crystal claws, and slashed into the neck of a robot mid-leap, flipping over its shoulder. Stay fluid. Don't overbuild. Behind him, Todoroki froze entire bots in place and walked over them like stepping stones. Bakugo exploded through another's chest, laughing like a maniac. Uraraka and Azui teamed up, one floating, the other leaping with precision. But Izuku was already ahead. His momentum spikes, thin diamond pylons he launched and then pulled toward with grappling cords, let him slingshot between structures. He heard cheers from the crowd. Midoriya's adapted mobility is incredible. Those crystal grapples look like a hybrid between Spider-Man and a railgun. Trap zone. Collapse field. The next area was worse. The ground crumbled with every step, false terrain designed to mislead. Todoroki froze paths ahead. Bakugo tried to blast over the pit, but misjudged a crumble and had to recover midair. Izuku moved carefully. He tapped the ground with crystal spikes, letting them sense stability before stepping forward. When the terrain gave way, he formed a wedge platform from his back and surfboard the falling rock down like a snowboarder on a collapsing mountain. Let's go, Kaminari shouted, falling behind. Final stretch. Minefield. Uraraka caught up, floating debris to shield herself. But Todoroki and Bakugo were in a heated duel now, using mines against each other as makeshift weapons. Izuku took a deep breath. One shot. Finish it smart. He focused, built a long-range pylon under his boots. He crouched. Boom! Diamond exploded beneath him, launching him over the final stretch. As he flew, the entire stadium held its breath. He crossed the finish line second. Todoroki had iced his way through moments before him. Bakugo came third, furious. Post-race, as the dust settled, the top 42 were announced. Izuku stood, panting, heart racing, hand still faintly glittering with crystalline flakes. He made it. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was competing. From above, the cloaked figure whispered. He's adapting faster than we expected. We'll need to act sooner. Thank you for joining us on this journey through What If Deku Awakens Diamond Quirk. We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to travisdrakon for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on fanfiction.net for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe to Zen and Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section. See you soon in the next video.